I feel my bosom glow with wantless fires, raised from the vulgar press my mind aspires, winged with high thoughts, unto his praise to climb, from deep eternity, who called forth time. That essence which not moved makes each thing move, uncreated beauty, all creating love. But by so great an object, radiant light, my heart appalled, enfeebled rests my sight. Thick clouds benight my labouring engine, and at my high attempts my wits repine. If thou in me this sacred rapture wrought, my knowledge sharpen, Cecils lend my thought. Grant me, time's father, world-containing king, a power of thee in powerful lays to sing, that as thy beauty in earth lives, heaven shines, it dawning May or shadow in my light. As far beyond the starry walls of heaven, as is the loftiest of the planets 7 sequestered from this earth, in purest light outshining ours, as ours doth sable night, thou all-sufficient, omnipotent, thou ever-glorious, most excellent, God various in names, in essence one, high art installed on a golden throne, outreaching heaven's wide vasts, the bounds of naught, transcending all the circles of our thought. With diamantian sceptre in thy hand, there thou givest laws, and dost this world command, this world of concourse raised and lightly sweet, which like a ball lies prostrate to thy feet. If so we may well say, and what we say here wrapped in flesh, led by dim reason's ray, to show by earthly beauties which we see that spiritual excellency that shines in thee, good Lord forgive. Not far from thy right side, with curled locks youth ever doth abide, rose-cheeked youth, who garlanded with flowers, still blooming, ceaselessly unto thee powers immortal nectar in a cup of gold, that by no darts of ages thou grow old, and as ends and beginnings thee not claim, successionless thou be still the same. Near to thy other side resistless might, from head to foot in burnished armour dight, that rings about him with a waving brand, and watchful eye, great sentinel doth stand, that neither time nor force in aught impair thy workmanship, nor harm thy empire fair, soon to give death to all again that would stern discord raise which thou destroyed of old. Discord, that foe to order, nurse of war, by which the noblest things demolished are. But she no treason doth devise, when might to naught doth bring her enterprise. Thy all-upholding might her malice reigns, and her in hell through bound in iron chains. With locks in waves of gold that ebb and flow, on Uri neck, in robes more white than snow, Truth steadfastly before thee holds a glass, indented with gems, where shineth all that was, that is, or shall be. Here ere aught was wrought, thou knew all that thy power with time forth brought, and more, things numberless which thou couldst make, that actually shall never being take. Here thou behold'st thyself, and, strange, dost prove at once the beauty, lover, and love. With faces too, like sisters sweetly fair, whose blossoms no rough autumn can impair, stands Providence, and doth her looks disperse through every corner of this universe. Thy Providence at once with general things and singular doth rule, as empire's kings, without whose care this world, lost, would remain, as ship without a master in the main, as chariots alone, as bodies prove deprived of souls, whereby they be, live, move. But who are they which shine thy throne so near, with sacred countenance, and look so severe? This in one hand a ponderous sword doth hold, her left stays charged with balances of gold, that with brows girt with bays, sweet smiling face, doth bear a brandon, with a babish grace two milk-white wings him easily doth move. O she thy justice is, and this thy love, by this brought this engine great delight, by that it framed in number, measure, weight, that destined doth reward to ill and good. But sway of justice is by love withstood, which did it not relent and mildly stay, this world ere now had had its funeral day. What bands, enclustered, near to these abide, which into vast infinity them hide? Infinity that neither doth admit place, time, nor number to encroach on it. Here bounty sparkleth, here doth beauty shine, simplicity more white than gelsomine, mercy with open wings, I varied bliss, glory and joy, that bliss's darling is. Ineffable, all-powerful God, all free, thou only livest, and each thing lives by thee. No joy, no, nor perfection to thee came by the contriving of this world's great frame. Ere sun, moon, stars began their restless race, each painted with purple light was heaven's round face. Ere air had clouds, ere clouds wept down their showers, ere sea embraced earth, ere earth bare flowers, thou happy lived, worlds naught to thee supplied, all in thyself thou satisfied. Of good no slender shadow doth appear, no age-worn track which shined in thee not clear. Perfection's sum, prime cause of every cause, midst, end, beginning, where all good doth pause. Hence of thy substance, differing in naught, thou in eternity thy Son forth brought, the only birth of thy unchanging mind, thine image, pattern-like, that ever shined. Light out of light, begotten not by will, but nature, all and that same essence still, which thou thyself, for thou dost naught possess which he hath not. In aught nor is he less than thee his great begetter. Of this light, eternal, double, kindled was thy sprite eternally, who is with thee the same, all holy gift, ambassador, not flame, most sacred triad, O most holy one, unprocreated Father, ever procreated Son, ghost breathed from both, you were, I, are, shall be, most blessed, three in one, and one in three, uncomprehensible by reachless height, and unperceived by excessive light. So in our souls three and yet one are still, the understanding, memory, and will. So, though unlike, the planet of the days, so soon as he was made, begat his rays, which are his offspring, and from both was hurled the rosy light which comfort doth the world, and none forewent another. So the spring, the wellhead, and the stream which they forth bring, are but one self-same essence, nor in aught do differ, save in order, and our thought no chime of time discerns in them to fall, but three distinctly bide one essence all. But these express not thee, who can declare thy being? Men and angels dazzled are, who force this Eden wood with wit or sense, a cherubim shall find to bar him thence. All's architect, lord of this universe, engulfed is wit would in thy greatness pierce. Ah! as a pilgrim who the Alps doth pass, or Atlas temples crowned with winter glass, the airy Caucasus, the Apennine, Pyrenees cliffs where sun doth never shine, when he some heaps of hills hath overwent, begins to think on rest, his journey spent, till mounting some tall mountain he doth find more heights before him than he left behind. With halting pace, so while I would me raise to the unbounded circuits of thy praise, some part of way I thought to overrun, but now I see how scarce I have begun. With wonders new my spirit's range possessed, and wandering wayless in amaze them rest. In these vast fields of light, ethereal plains, thou art attended by immortal trains, of intellectual powers, which thou brought forth to praise thy goodness and admire thy worth. In numbers passing o'er creatures far, since creatures most noble many a star, which do in knowledge us no less outrun than moon in light doth stars, or moon the sun. Unlike in orders ranged and many a band, if beauty in disparity doth stand. Archangels, angels, cherubs, seraphins, and what with names of thrones amongst them shines, large ruling princes, dominations, powers, all acting virtues of those flaming towers. These freed of umbrage, these of labour free, rest ravished with still beholding thee, inflamed with beams which sparkle from thy face. They can no more desire, far less embrace. Lo, under them, with slow and staggering pace, thy handmaid nature thy great steps doth trace, the source of second causes, golden chain that links this frame as thou it doth ordain. Nature gazed on with such a curious eye, that earthlings oft her deemed a deity. By nature led those bodies fair and great, which faint not in their course, nor change their state, unintermixed, with no disorder prove, though I and contrary they always move. The organs of thy providence divine, books ever open, signs that clearly shine, time's purpled maskers, then do them advance, as by sweet music in a measured dance. Stars, host of heaven, ye firmament's bright flowers, clear lamps which overhang the stage of hours, ye turn not there to deck the weeds of night, nor pageant like to please the vulgar sight. Great causes, sure, ye must bring great effects, but who can descant right your grave aspects? He only who you made decipher can your notes. Heaven's eyes ye blind the eyes of man. Amidst these sapphire far extending heights, the never twinkling, ever wandering lights, their fixed motions keep, one dry and cold, deep leaden coloured, slowly there is rolled, with rule and line for time's step meeting even, in twice three lustres he but turns his heaven, with temperate qualities in countenance fair, still mildly smiling, sweetly debonair. Another cheers the world, and way doth make in twice 6 autumns through the zodiac. But hot and dry with flaming locks and brows, enraged, this his red pavilion glows, together running with like speed if space, two equally in hands achieve their race. With blushing face this oft doth bring the day, and ushers off to stately stars the way. The various in virtue, changing light, with his small flame impels the veil of night. Prince of this court, the sun in triumph rides, with the year snake-like in herself that glides. Time dispensator, fair life-giving source, through sky's 12 posts as he doth run his course. Heart of this all, of what is known to sense, the likest to his maker's excellence, in whose diurnal motion doth appear a shadow, no, true portrait of the year. The moon moves lowest, silver sun of night, dispersing through the world her borrowed light, who in 3 forms her head abroad doth rage, and only constant is in constant change. Sad queen of silence, I ne'er see thy face, to wax or wane, or shine with a full grace, but straight, amazed, on man I think each day, his state who changeth, or if he find stay, it is in dreary anguish, cares and pains, and of his labours death is all the gains. Immortal monarch, can so fond a thought lodge in my breast, as to trust thou first brought here in earth's shady cloister wretched man, to suck the air of woe, to spend life's span mid sighs and plaints, a stranger unto mirth, to give himself his death rebuking birth? By sense and wit of creatures made king, by sense and wit to live their underling, and what is worst, have eaglet's eyes to see his own disgrace, and know a higher degree of bliss, the place, if he might there to climb, and not live thrall to impervious time? Or, dotard, shall I so from reason swerve, to deem those lights which to our use do serve? For thou dost not mean lead, more nobly framed than us, that know their course, and have them named. No, I ne'er think but we did them surpass as far, as they do aphorisms of glass, when thou us made, by treason high defiled, thrust from our first estate we live exiled, wandering this earth, which is of death the lot, where he doth use the power which he hath got, indifferent umpire unto clowns and kings, the supreme monarch of all mortal things. When first this flowery orb was to us given, it but in place disvalued was to heaven. These creatures which now our sovereigns are, and as to rebels do denounce us war, then were our vassals, no tumultuous storm, no thunders, quakings did her form deform. The seas and tumbling mountains did not roar, but like most crystal whispered on the shore. No snake did meet her meads, nor ambushed lower in azure curls beneath the sweet spring flowers their nightshade. Henbane, Naple, Anconite, her boughs then not bare, with death to smite her guiltless brood. Thy messengers of grace, as their high rounds did haunt the lower place. O joy of joys, which our first parents thou to commune then disdain, as friends do now. Against thee we rebelled, and justly thus each creature rebelled against us. Earth, rest of what did chief in her excel, to all became a jail, to most a hell, in time's full term until thy Son was given, who man with thee, earth reconciled with heaven. Whole and entire, all in thyself thou art, all where diffused, yet of this all no part. For infinite, in making this fair frame, great without quantity, in all thou came, and filling all, how can thy state admit, or place or substance to be void of it? Were worlds as many as the rays which stream from day's bright lamp, or madding wit to dream, they would not reel in naught, nor wandering stray, but draw to thee, who could their centres stay. Were but 1 hour this world disjoined from thee, it in 1 hour to naught reduced should be. For it is thy shadow is, and can they last, if severed from the substances them cast? O only blessed, and author of bliss, no, bliss itself, that all where wished is, efficient, exemplary, final good, of thine own self, but only understood. Light is thy curtain, thou art light of light, an ever-waking eye, still shining bright, in looking all, exempt of passive power, and change, in change since death's pale shade doth lower. All times to thee are one, that which hath run, and that which is not bought yet by the sun. To thee are present, who dost always see in present act what past is, or to be. Day livers we remembrance do lose, of ages worn, so miseries us toss, blind and lethargic of thy heavenly grace, which sin in our first parents did deface, and even while embryos, cursed by justice doom, that we neglect what gone is, or to come. But thou in thy great archive scrolled hast, in parts and whole, whatever ye hath passed, since first the marble wheels of time were rolled, as ever living, never waxing old, still is the same thy day and yesterday, an undivided now, a constant A. O King, whose greatness none can comprehend, whose boundless goodness doth to all extend, light of all beauty, ocean without ground, that standing flowest, giving dost abound, rich palace, and endeavourer ever blessed, never not working, ever yet in rest. What wit can not conceive, words say of thee, here where we as but in a mirror see. Shadows of shadows, atoms of thy might, Still owly-eyed when staring on thy light, grant that released from this earthly jail, and freed of clouds which here our knowledge veil, in heaven's high temples where thy praises ring, I may in sweeter notes hear angels sing.